I was in an automobile accident about 1:20 a.m. on Sunday, June 19, 1977. Looking in my mirror as I drove down the straightaway, the police officer went straight past the stop sign where I had turned left. When I hit third gear down the straightaway, the automobile was doing around 80 miles per hour. My companion couldn't find the buckle for his seatbelt, so I reached down and grabbed the connector so he could buckle up. When I looked up at the road again, there was gravel in the center of it. When the car hit the gravel at 80 miles per hour, it slid to the left immediately. I attempted to steer into a driveway to avoid hitting the trees. We were sitting in the dark, but I believed we had arrived at the driveway. "We made it," I said. Looking around, all I could see was darkness. Complete darkness. "Where are you?" I inquired of my pal. There was no reaction. I find myself strolling down the middle of the road, approaching an elderly lady. "I'm a mess," I was saying. "I'm a jumbled mess. I'm a jumble." I reached up as I got closer to her, feeling my face tingle and heated. My finger entered my sinuses. I began to walk away from myself at that point. My vision was crystal clear. My people, my body were distancing themselves from me. I reached out and grabbed myself. My hand swept through me as if nothing was there. When I saw my corpse fall to the street, I was roughly 3 feet behind myself. For a brief moment, my vision returned to the perspective of my body. I noticed the pavement ahead of me. Back to the pitch-black abyss. Then I felt as though I was peering between the branches of a tree. There was a blurry and dark image. "What is that?" I wondered. "I don't know." "What is that?" said my companion, focusing all of my attention. The photos were warped in the same way as sunlight reflects off the bottom of a swimming pool. The brighter lines flowing across the field of view revealed a dull, fuzzy, dark image for only a split second. "That's my brother's automobile," I told my pal. The police car was to the left. A group of people were behind the police car on the left. An ambulance was to the right, and a police car was to the right of the ambulance. "That's us," my pal added. At the time, we both replied, "We're dead." The image vanished as though by a snap of the fingers. I was completely in the dark and terrified. Then a voice from up ahead and to my right shouted, "Do not be scared." My unease vanished as I questioned, "Who are you?" "Just call me Father," said the voice. "Christ," I heard in the depth of my being. Then there were images in front of me. My friend and I were fuzzy and black, like the scene in the car below. But these images were all around me, encompassing 360 degrees of vision in a bowl-shaped circle. I observed as a part of the image brightened and became clearer. I could see myself when I was 2. Like a tunnel of pictures, one after the other, running away and up. As the bright area in front of me moved from the center to the left, I watched as the corridors of images depicted my life at 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on until the bright region reached 3 o'clock to my right. Then I found myself in my mother's bedroom. "Hampton, it's okay," I replied as the dog awoke. The voice in the back to my right then questioned, "Is this not your mother?" "Yes," I replied. My eyesight was then shifted to the right, where I could see through the door of my younger brother. "Isn't this your brother?" inquired the voice. "Yes," I replied. I was 12 miles away, outside my older brother's apartment in the blink of an eye. I could see my brother reaching out to open the apartment door through the concrete floor of the second story and the steel security door of his apartment. A mysterious figure stood beside him. "Is this not your older brother?" said the voice above, behind, and to the right of me. I assumed I could communicate with the dog, and that my brother was awake. "Charles," I began to say. "Get me out of here, Charles. Get me out of here." "Is this not your brother?" questioned the voice again, monotonely. "Charles, get me out of here," I pleaded again. The voice then asked faintly, "Is this not your other brother?" "Yes," I replied. Then in the flash of an eye, I was whisked away to my father's apartment, 15 miles away. I was hovering in the parking lot, peering through his apartment door, watching him read the newspaper on the couch. When I saw this face on the papers, I wondered where his wife was. She was said to be in the bedroom. "Is this not your father?" I was questioned. "Yes," I said. I was back in the darkness in an instant, with 360-degree vision. The final quarter was skimmed rapidly. Then I became aware of front and back. There was a rumble of voices behind me, like if 8 or 10 individuals were all chanting at the same time. The voice up and to my right said something to me, and then I looked around behind me and to my right. I got a vision of myself dressed in a white robe, as if I were hung on a hook where a coat would be hung. My head was bowed, and I sat on my tummy with my right hand at arm's length, grasping my left wrist at arm's length. As I moved forward, I saw the voice was vanished, because I was intrigued when I noticed a blue-white sesame seed in front of me. Until that point, the voice had answered every question I had. But there was no voice this time when I stared at the blue sesame seed. I stood there watching as the seed neared me, or I approached the seed. A low-pitched rumble could be heard. It was in the lower frequency band. Then, when the seed or I came closer to the seed, the tone of the low pitch began to rise. Light began to flood my eyes as the seed and I came together, as if it were being poured into my head from a pitcher. As the illumination began to clear, the low-pitched sound had changed to a high-pitched ringing. A ching sound, like to a blade being drawn from its sheath, chilled my body as I became aware of the presence of others around me. "Why did you do it?" a man kept asking. "What did I do?" I would ask. Then my father yelled fiercely, "Answer the officer." "What did I do?" I asked. "You know what you did," my father said. When I looked down at my feet, I noticed they were handcuffed. I noticed my brother Charles at my feet. Charles, what did I do?" I asked. "You ruined my automobile," Charles stated as he approached my right side. "Celine is no longer alive." At that moment, a scorching pins and needles sensation, similar to when your arm falls asleep, began to descend along the entire length of my body, from the crown of my head. I lay on the stretcher, wrists and feet chained, as my body tingled with the most intense pain I'd ever felt. The anguish caused me to pass out. I awoke in jail shortly after. When a doctor at West Paces Ferry Hospital started putting packs on my broken nose, I finally awoke. The doctor informed me that I would be kept for observation. I stood up and walked around the corner to collect my clothing when he departed. I pulled open the emergency room doors, giving my mother her first glimpse of me. The nurse was following me and told me that I couldn't leave. "Where are you going?" my mother said. "I'm going home," I said. "You have to stay here," she said. "No," I responded. "I need to go home to make sure I'm not dead." As I went out of the hospital, my mother stopped dead in her tracks. Several weeks passed. My memories clearly clouded my perception of the truth of my death experience. I went to a party to try to get back into the swing of things. Leslie saw me standing in the middle of the room and ran up to hug me. "You have no idea how amazing it feels to see you," she remarked. "No, you have no idea how fantastic it is to see you," I said. "I was out with your brother the night of your vehicle accident," she explained. "We were about to leave his flat when he stated to me, 'Something has happened.'" I started crying in the middle of the room as Leslie hugged me and asked me what was wrong. "It wasn't a dream," I said. "What wasn't a dream?" she inquired. "I was there," I said. "I attempted to speak with Charles. I passed away. It wasn't a nightmare." At that point, I was convinced that I had died.